Good evening, everyone. Hello, my name is Robin Cook Brumfield, and I'm thrilled to be here today with you for at your as your New York State leadership specialist. I'd like to introduce you to Mary Sotomayor, currently the New York State VP and coordinator for leadership, as well as Kathleen uh, McEnroe, the technology specialist, and our designated officer currently is Joan Wobnick, uh, and I don't believe Joan is on, but I just want to give her a shout out for all the work that she's done. We are pleased that you were able to join us um, this evening, and I'm sure you'll learn a lot of the tools. And one of the things that's special about this, where we're used to giving workshops about financial management and um, fundraising and, you know, AIM insurance and membership, this one's really good because it lets us know that we're human. PTA is human. We are human. And we're going to have a presentation by Pat, and she's going to give us a presentation about holiday stress and family wellness. And this is something that we all need to hear because it's all about our families being well. We all know that there are a lot of challenges, especially at this time that's supposed to be so happy. But unfortunately, the suicide rates is higher during this time than any other time of the year. So I just want you to really pay particularly close attention to the presentation. We're so glad to have Pat and her team, Lynn, Maria, Beth, Susan, and Shauna come and give us this presentation. And this again will give us the tools to better adjust as life happens, because life happens. It's not all about that fundraiser. It's not all about that advocacy. It's really about you, your personal self, to make sure that you're well. But before you get started, did you know that by participating in this webinar, you could qualify for a special leadership development PIN? Step one, you have to attend at least 6 of the engaging webinars, absorb the knowledge, and figure out how you could apply what you've learned at your unit or at your or the council. And it's important, so what's happening is tonight we have a special question, and when you answer the question for to qualify for the webinar, the question is, how do you give yourself grace? So before I turn it over to Pat, I'm going to turn it over to our fabulous New York State PTA president. I'm going to allow her to bring words. Then and after she's finished, we'll go right into what Pat has to present along with her team. Take it on, Pat. Take it on.
Take it on, the Patties. And the Patricias, and we have a Patrice joining us, so we're all on board. And really, thank you to all who are joining us tonight. During these times, as I'm experiencing now, it could be a little bit stressful with everything we have going on at home, at work, and with our children. It's really good to know that you're not alone in feeling these things, and that there are others who either are feeling the same or have experienced the same and are willing to share their stories, their tips, and their ideas for all of us to get through this stressful time and still walk away with love, laughter, and joy. I want to thank the Mental Health Task Force and Chair Patricia Jenko for putting together this presentation tonight. I think you will find it informative and relatable. As someone who became a mom during the heyday of Martha Stewart, I definitely tried to emulate her lifestyle ideas. She made everything look so appealing and so easy, and 25 years later, I'm still trying to perfect that perfect holiday meal and all of those baked goods and cookies and cakes. So we're going to really work together tonight for all the great ideas to get through these times. And I'm going to turn it over to the Mental Health Task Force for their presentation.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you, Robin. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. A roundtable discussion tonight is going to be holiday stress and family wellness, finding the calm in the chaos, hosted by the Mental Health Task Force. The holiday season brings joy, celebration, and togetherness, but it could also bring pressure, exhaustion, financial strain, family conflict, and emotional overwhelm. Today, we want to hold space for all that. This conversation is intentionally informal, supportive. Several of our task force members will be sharing their own experiences, what stress looks like for them during the holidays, how they manage it, and the small, realistic strategies that help them stay grounded. We invite everyone here to participate, reflect, and share. Please share if you feel comfortable. Again, I'm going to tell you the special question for the evening is going to be, how can we give ourselves some grace? And through the slide presentation and our discussion, you'll get some of those pointers and that you'll be able to use for the leadership pen. Our participants for this evening from the Mental Health Task Force are Susan Fisher, Lynn Petrovsky, Maria Sanders, Beth Sniffen, Shauna Wald, and Patty Fraser, our New York State president. We're going to start with traditions. So let's begin with something at the heart of all our holiday seasons, traditions. Traditions often hold our happiest memories, but they can also carry some of our biggest stress. We're going to start the conversation off with Lynn. Have you changed or simplified any of your traditions to reduce stress or created some new traditions that feel calmer or more meaningful to you and your family?
Yes, I have tried to simplify. One of our favorite traditions, we start decorating. We celebrate Christmas. My one daughter celebrates Hanukkah. So we're kind of across the board a little bit, but we decorate outside. We don't light anything because right after Thanksgiving, we're done with dinner, we're done with dessert. We go outside. Some of our neighbors come out, we do our countdown, and we have our lighting. Of course, when you press the button, it doesn't always work. Stress. But everyone in the neighborhood, our family, we FaceTime people in. It just brings so much joy once it's happened. But the other tradition, which I gave myself some grace and didn't do this year, we usually hold a holiday party that has grown and grown. We moved into a new house. It's been financially, it's a little tough. And I said no. And it was okay that I said no. And most of the people understand. You're muted, Patty.
Anyone else want to share? Feel free.
I can say something, Pat. We have family in different areas in different states, and we used to go back and forth, and it's kind of exhausting. And I just wanted one time for me and my husband and my kids. So now we take the 23rd, and it's always the 23rd of December, and we go out to dinner or we go out for dessert, and then that's when we exchange our gifts to each other. And then the night ends with my husband and I have to watch White Christmas, even if the kids complain that we fall asleep at a certain part. But that's our time, right? And we don't go up to one state early. We don't go to whatever party's going on, because that's just like our Wold family holiday, and it makes it a lot easier for us, right? Because there's no pulling in any direction now. Everyone's used to, you can't see us on the 23rd. So
Thanks,
I
Shauna.
love it.
Susan, do you have any holidays you want to, traditions that you'd like
Sure.
to share?
Yeah. So we're an interfaith family, so we do Hanukkah in our house. We celebrate Hanukkah, and what we do is we do our exchange to our kids in our home, just the four of us, kind of like Shauna. We wanted time that's just us and something that we do just as our small family. And then we do whenever Hanukkah is in the year, and don't ask me because I have to Google it just like everybody else. I have to figure it out. And then we plan to do one with my family, and we do a big gift exchange and big dinner with my family. We do one night. We try to do it as close to the first night as possible based on work schedule when it falls during the week, just to celebrate it big. And then the following nights we do small in our own home. And then the benefit of having an interfaith is that like my family gets Hanukkah and my husband's family gets Christmas, and so his mom gets Christmas Eve and his dad gets Christmas Day, and so we know where we're going, and that's also in a different state, so we plan our trip to Connecticut for that. And what we've done to make it a little bit easier is as family grows and there's so much more to give, like more people to give to, and everybody gets bigger, and significant others and other children come along, it becomes a big financial strain. So what we've done with some of the family is we'll do like a traditional like holiday calendar for the grandparents, so they just get a calendar from all with all the kids pictures on, and we also for one of the families, we don't exchange gifts as adults. What we do is kind of do through my PTA learning, we did like a poll, and like everybody kind of submits a charity that they want to do, and then we all vote on it. And then so we then will donate money to a charity in the name of the family that everybody picks for the year, and do kind of a big give back like that. And instead of exchanging gifts, to kind of help ease the financial strain and make it feel a little bit more of a giving time of season.
That's wonderful. I love that idea. Maria, do you have any holiday traditions that you want to share, or things that you've changed, or traditions you've cut down a little bit on?
So this may come as a surprise, but we bake. And depending on the year, we bake a lot. Anywhere from, I would say, 25 to 40 different types of cookies and pastries and all the things. It takes weeks, typically about two, because I didn't sleep. And this year things are changing pretty drastically because after 24 years, Mama went back to work. So everybody's going to kind of have to do a lot of their part. So everybody's going to pick and choose their absolute favorites and kind of take it from there. But the kids already know they're going to start cooking and prepping and planning. And I'm actually working Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and the day after Christmas. There are no breaks for the weary. So it'll be very different for everybody, but that's okay. And they're kind of excited. I told them we may have to do a takeout. And my boys, my 20-year-old and 19-year-old in college, said that they're going to cook. So
That's wonderful. Thank you. Those are some great traditions and great ideas for helping us out. So now that we've talked about some of our traditions, and feel free, anybody, to join in, we're going to widen the lens a little bit and look at our bigger picture of holiday stress. And some of you have already, mentioned some of the stresses that go along with it. The reality for many of our caregivers, our parents, and our guardians is that we're juggling so many expectations. We have schedules, emotions, responsibilities all at once. And many of us feel pressure to make the holidays perfect. Patty was talking about, the Martha Stewart thing. And we try to make them perfect even when we're stretched thin. Maria, you were just talking about, all having to work all the holidays. Tonight, our goal is not perfection. Our goal is to focus on what's manageable, healthy, and grounding. And Shauna, can you tell us a little bit about what holiday stress might look like or feel like for you? It might be emotional, relationship-wise, schedule-related, financial, or something unique to your home. Would you like to share with us?
Sure. I think it might be all of the above that you just mentioned, a little of everything. Just right now, we are also an interfaith family, but we love to decorate. So right now it looks like Santa, threw up in the living room, outside, everywhere. And this year is the first year that I don't care. I'm just going to walk over the decorations. I'm going to ignore the mess. But what really helps me is I'm a list person and I love writing lists because I love crossing them out, right? So either I like to do it on paper and I can cross everything off and it just feels really good. And even on the phone, it's not as great, but that's portable and I can just delete. But everything, no matter how small, it goes on the list and it just gives me a sense of feeling good that I got it done, right? And realizing if it doesn't get done today, it'll happen tomorrow.
Thank you, Shauna. I know in my house, decorating has gone by the wayside. I have my daughter and her husband living with us now, and everything and anything that she could possibly buy for a new house is sitting in my living room and dining room. So there's no place to really decorate. But I did manage to get up a tree. Does anyone else have any of the holiday stresses that they'd like to share with us or talk about? It's a safe space. Please feel free.
I tend to overindulge family members, my grandchildren, and like I says, coming into a new home, I still have my other house because we haven't closed yet. So financially, it's a little tough, and it's very hard for me not to overindulge. And I keep saying it's not going to be like it has been, but it bothers me.
So you're feeling a little bit of the stress. Crystal, you
Yeah.
want to share with us? Go right ahead.
So I would say my biggest, well, I have two stressors. One stressor is that we have a winter wonderland happening at the school. And it sounds great in theory, but we have to make sure that we get 300 toys for all of our kids. um, and we've reached out to Toys for Tots and they kind of don't follow up. So we've been on top of them to do that. And I'm at two schools. I'm at the elementary school, I'm at the middle school. And it's different in middle school and trying to make those connections and, the same dramas are there, but I think it's just different. And I know a lot of our families are struggling right now. So it's a stress of who do we give to, who can we afford not to give to, but just, creating that equity. That's a stress because you want every child to have something for the holidays because you don't really know what's happening in their homes. So that's that stress. And my home stress is remembering to take out my elf on the shelf and coming up with ideas and remembering to do it before I leave the house in the morning so that they don't realize that I'm doing it the night before.
That darn elf, let me tell you, he creates a lot of undue holiday stress. And I know a lot of our PTA family and friends that are on tonight know that stress that you're feeling, trying to make sure that everything is perfect at the school. But you know what? I can tell you those kids, the memories that they hold. Some of our high school essays for applications, they write about their PTA experiences and the things that go on during the holiday, like the, gingerbread man run and everything else. They remember. So thank you for that. Does anyone else want to share any of their holiday stresses with us?
I'll add, Pat, I have to say kudos to all our PTA leaders in the buildings who are like, let's talk about stress during the holiday season, right? So you're a parent, you have a family, you're somebody's parent, you're somebody's child, and then you're the PTA mom to 600 kids in one building. Because I know when my kids were in elementary school and I was the PTA president, I was everybody's like PTA mom. And so we have that added stress of not only wanting everything in your home perfect, but wanting everything in your school home perfect. From fundraisers to events to, I remember hot cocoa bars aplenty and making these ridiculous little, oh gosh, I wish I had a picture to share because y'all would laugh at it. But it was a marshmallow and some cookies that when they came together looked like a little cup of hot cocoa. And I one year made 600 of them to give to every single child in the building because y'all know I have like Patty, I was a little obsessed with Martha Stewart. I may still be a little obsessed with Martha Stewart. But yeah, it was good times. It was good times, but very stressful and very overwhelming. And as time progresses, you realize that, the kids would have been just as happy with some cupcakes from our local grocery store. Right.
I think I want to piggyback off of Maria, and I think it's the, as moms and parents, but often it's the moms, we carried like this huge mental load that's invisible, like on a regular time, or like anytime throughout the year. You've got the kids' schedules, their athletics, their extracurriculars. What's in the grocery? What did you run out of? Do you have enough milk in the house? What's for dinner? My least favorite question in the entire universe is what's for dinner? Because I was not told that I was going to have to plan dinner for 4 people every single day for the rest of my life. So, but the added invisible mental load that happens around the holidays of planning and travel and boarding animals and the pets and, decorating and baking and potlucks and things at work and things at PTA. And I think it's an unspoken, invisible mental load that we all tend to take on for ourselves, especially people like the ones on this call who are the PTA leaders, who are those school moms who do want to make it perfect for everyone.
And if I might add, Pinterest is not our friend. Neither is TikTok, because we go on there
Or Instagram.
or Instagram. I hope there's no children sitting with moms or dads right now. If they are, cover their ears, right? I say, as much as I'm a little sad that Pinterest and the Elf on the Shelf weren't a thing at the same time when my kids are little, because I would have loved to replicate some of the stuff. I'm very grateful that it wasn't. My elf barely got anywhere. Like, my elf would move from one side of the TV armoire to the other. And half the times I would forget, and my older kid would like do it before she was always the first one up, and she would move it. When we forgot to move the elf, I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's Dad's fault. He fell asleep on the couch and the elf couldn't leave because he was on the couch. So my poor husband got into so much trouble because of that elf. And again, there was no like big Etsy. I mean, now they sell packages for you to dress your elf. Apparently, there's a Snoop and a Martha Stewart elf. I'm not gonna lie, I want the Martha elf. But kudos to anybody with younger kids that is still fighting that fight, because it's not easy.
So I think one of those things that Shauna mentioned before about making a list and checking things off is a great idea. I know in my younger days I wasn't much of a list person, but I could tell you that it would have helped a great deal if I was. And some of the things that help manage the holiday stress, again, is limited our commitments. And Susan, you gave us an armful of that list of everything that we have to do. It's important that we protect our rest time. And like Lynn was talking about, we need to set spending boundaries and let go of what doesn't work. Acknowledge our feelings, that we're feeling stressed about everything, and set aside any differences we have. Plan ahead. Again, Shauna, that idea with those lists, that's like a wonderful thing, and being realistic. Susan, you brought that right into, play for all of us. And stay active. It's very, very difficult. It's easy to fall into that, oh my God, I'm just so tired. Please just let me lay down. But you got to keep moving and say no. A couple of you mentioned that. We need to be able to say no to some things. And again, just breathe. So I want to thank you all for being honest and hearing these shared experiences. I know have helped me a lot. And it shows me that we're all not alone. So I want to thank you for that.
Can you, I'm sorry, with the say no, I think we have to also say without guilt, right? Because it's not so easy to say no, because you may hear guilt from family, friends, kids, yourself. And it's okay to feel guilty, but it's also okay to say no when you can't do it. And everyone has to understand that, including, ourselves.
Thanks, Shauna, for bringing that up. You're right. You're absolutely right. That just saying no could put a lot of stress on us ourselves, and we have to start learning how to release that. So now that we've named some of the stress, let's talk about what helps. So Maria, what strategies have you found that truly make a difference in reducing the stress for yourself and your families? They could be your routines, your boundaries, self-care, communication tools, any traditions you might have adapted.
So I have to say, Thanksgiving was kind of a big turn for me. It was a little eye-opening. It was a little different. We made some changes. I want to grow up and be Martha Stewart, and I'm old, right? But I still want to grow up and be Martha Stewart. I want to be a better version of Martha Stewart. So for the holidays, I do everything A to Z from scratch. I don't want anyone's help. I will make the dough, and if I could, I would grow the apples to make the apple pie, right? But A to Z, from appetizers to dessert to all the courses, and there's 1,000 of them. There have been times that there have been 3 or 4 things per person, 3 or 4 dishes for each person around the table. It's also the formal china, the formal silverware, the formal glasses. I cook everything in glass or ceramic. I never used aluminum foil trays because I was like, oh my gosh, they just don't fit around this perfect table that I've created that's in this perfect house with all the perfect decorations, right? And I also have been known to fold napkins into different shapes like poinsettias, and it may have taken hours on YouTube. So this Thanksgiving, I said, I need to dull it down a little bit because I was feeling the stress. And so I still made just about all the food, if not all the food. There was definitely more than one dish for each person around the table. But we didn't go for the formal china. We went for our everyday dishes because there were enough. I cooked in aluminum foil trays for the first time in my life. And I'm not going to lie, I actually didn't share it on social media because I was looking at it and I was like, this is different for me. We use paper napkins. These are such little things, right? But honestly, I thought that not doing the things the way that I have been doing them for my kids' whole lives would feel different and it would make it less than. And ultimately, it really didn't. It was different, but it was still perfect. And I think that was a real light bulb moment for me that it's still perfect. If you change things, if you change your traditions, if you simplify things, if you do something that makes that whole space and time and day less stressful for you, it doesn't make it any less perfect. It just makes it different. This is the first time in my life, and again, I'm old, my friends, that I sat down on Thanksgiving Day and watched a movie with my family. I've never done that because I've always been the lunatic who ran around in circles. By the end of the night, I couldn't even stand because my legs were ready to give out. And the next morning I woke up to a mess because it was, of course, no, I don't want anybody to help me. There could have been 30 people in the house, right? No. I don't need anybody to help me. I got this all. I just want you all to enjoy. Because again, Martha Stewart is the hostess, right? Nobody's going to clean dishes in Martha's kitchen. They wouldn't do them in mine. But again, the big realization for me was we simplified the things that weren't as important, and it was still perfect. And I think if you take nothing else away from this, just because it's different, it doesn't make it less than, it doesn't make it imperfect. It's still kind of perfectly perfect, but different.
Thanks, Maria. Beth, do you have any coping strategies that have helped you get through the holidays
So,
and through stressful times?
we have also a multi cultural family. My mother called me last night and she was crying, and this was different than I was going to talk about originally, but she said that this year was really difficult for her, and she couldn't, she didn't think she was able to, get gifts this year. And and she was like, "Do you think that the kids will mind? Do you think that they'll be upset?" And I was like, "No, they won't care at all." My mother does this tradition with them every month. They go over to my mother's house and they do game night. And I said, that is really the present that you give them every month. You give them, you know, between my family and my brother's family, she has 6 grandchildren. And I said, you give them, a piece of you like every month. And you know, she doesn't really understand how much that means to the kids. So it was really nice, when she really got that. And on my husband's side of the family, um, he is one of 8 kids, and my son is the 21st grandchild. So we were all giving presents to each other. And financially, it was just out of hand. It was financially, it was stressful, and like just to know what everybody wanted. And it was little, literally a little obnoxious, to be honest with you. So, we just decided as a family that we were going to do that, white elephant type of exchange. And, some were funny gifts and some are, serious gifts. And you pick and exchange, and, we all have fun with it. And everybody cannot wait, to do the gift exchange. So I think that
Oh, I think Beth is
again,
frozen.
worry.
Okay, Beth, you froze. If you wanted to just say your last statement.
So for the 25th, everybody is in their own house. And then the first weekend in January, we all get together in my house. And that's when we all do the gift exchange. So everybody gets their home gifts and then they come to my house. So it's really nice.
Thank you. Robin, your hand's up. You want to share?
Oh, sure. I just want to share and but just say that Martha Stewart is not real. And I think we as parents, as leaders, as PTA, because when I listened to Maria, I was like, you what? And then I said, wow. And I think that it's just not Martha Stewart, but as leaders in PTA, we come up and we said we have to have the concert, we have to have the fundraiser, we have to have the holiday gathering, we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to, do for the kids and everything. And we forget, and one of the things you said is to breathe. And it's okay to say no. I think what Beth said is great. My grandmothers have passed on. And the fondest things, do I have memories? Do I care that I have her china cabinet? Not really. Do I care? The material things, it doesn't matter. But what I hold fond close to me, I always tell people, I said, oh, my memories of being with my grandmother. When we had our recent fun convention up in the Niagara area, Buffalo, I recall my grandmother, her church used to go up to Canada every year. So I've been to Niagara many, many different times, but those fond memories was I went up to see, different parts of Canada with my grandmother. So we have to realize and understand that it's okay if we don't get it right. Martha Stewart, that thing goes down to a commercial. You have someone putting a made cake and someone setting the dishes. Martha's not doing that. She's looking nice. So we have to give ourselves some grace, and we have to give ourselves some space to be able to be okay. And it's okay if you do the alumni. And I'm going to tell you, Maria, and I love you. My mother was like you. And because of that, my sister, who grew up with my mother, we all were in the kitchen and we saw those dishes and we saw those dishes and we didn't want my mother to have to wash the dishes. So my sister now, she's such a minimalist. It's so funny because her Thanksgiving dinner is turkey, macaroni and cheese, and string beans. And we were like, what? She said, nope, no extra dishes. No, I'm not doing mommy. So I say we present these things in love, but just it's okay to be not okay because we have the stresses of the world on us and it's okay. Thanks.
It's funny that you say your sister and your mom, right? I'll never forget. My mother is passed away about 10 years ago, and I'll never forget. We are Greek. I was born in Greece. So most of our meals are traditional Greek. Thanksgiving was like the American and it was the American thing. And one year my mother made a spinach pie and brought it over. And I yelled at her because the spinach pie didn't fit perfectly with my menu. I had curated this perfect menu. I'm like, the spinach pie is in a different, it's a different cultural dish. It's a different everything. And I made her take it home. And in retrospect, like now I think about it, I was like, what in heaven's name was I thinking? But it's that forced perfection in your head. I think Martha might be real. I have about 10 years of Martha.
She has a studio that does the stuff for her.
I have the magazine. I have all the magazines.
She has an entire cast of people that help her do all that stuff.
She has some serious elves. Serious elves.
Don't buy the magazines. The magazines are so bad for you. Like Food Network magazine is all the recipes in the world.
Can't do that.
I used to do that years ago. Every magazine I saw, I would cut the recipes out. And then finally, I had so many recipes that I looked at and I'm never, ever going to try them. I finally threw them away and said, I'm giving up on that whole thing.
So in my purge a couple of weeks ago, I actually donated a couple hundred magazines to different assisted living facilities, a care center, somebody from an elementary school who was doing some sort of project. Everybody got piles of magazines. I was like, okay, I don't feel wasteful. I don't feel like the trees died for no reason. But yeah, I had to give up. I mean, this day and age, y'all don't need a magazine. Like, again, Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok. Come on, who hasn't tried a TikTok dish?
I have never tried a TikTok. Oh, wait, but
Nope,
you know
not
what,
yet.
Maria? Disposable silverware and plates and platters have come a really long way, and they are your friends. They they're really nice. And if I don't think I've ever used the china I have gotten for my wedding. I don't think ever. But
So
I
I
do use
can't.
disposable, nice plastic plates. They go right in the trash. I'm gonna send some to your house.
All right, I have to say,
So Crystal says that Etsy is not our friends. And I see Judine, you've got your hand up. You want to share?
Yes. Overwhelming is an understatement when it comes to the holidays. You have so many Secret Santas and gift exchanges. My extended family actually started one this year. They've never done it. And the limit is $100, which is ridiculously yes.
That's not
So I
nice.
decided
That was mean.
so I decided, and that's the thing, when they're able to afford that. So when they set that amount or that standard, you feel a little guilty not participating. I actually said no. And I didn't feel guilty at first, but then we had Thanksgiving and everyone was there and they're talking about this exchange, and then the guilt came on because of that. So when you do, it does affect people around you sometimes. When you do like when people do certain things, it does affect. You might not think it does, because now people around you want to keep up with you or be in the same circle as you. and it's overwhelming for others as well. Like my family is overwhelming me with that $100 gift exchange.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You know, one of those things that again that you can we've got to learn to say no without the guilt, right? I'm in my family, we started the Secret Santa, and it financially it helped us a great deal. But this year again, with all those Pinterest and TikTok ideas, all of a sudden, you know, we did our lists for Thanksgiving, so everybody knew who they needed to buy for. But now they want to add this game and that game, and this one requires a $25 gift, and this one doesn't. And you know what? Some of us just said, no, we're not going to do that. I just financially just can't do it. And I hear you, Janine. And I hope that maybe having a conversation with your family can help alleviate some of that. $100 is a lot.
Yeah.
And Crystal, I saw your hand up.
Patrice,
Yes,
Pat,
ma'am.
I'm saying it's okay to say no. It's okay. It's
That's it.
okay. It's all right. No is okay. No is okay.
So one of
Crystal?
the questions for this evening, and again, here's a little hint for some of those answers to look for your leadership pin. You need to give yourself some grace. And you know, traditions can change. Maria did that with her, you know, her paper napkins and her tinfoil, and other people have changed a few of the things that they do because of, you know, times have changed, finances have changed, things change in our lives, our health changes. Um, your family deserves calm rather than the chaos. Definitely give them the grace that they deserve and they need. You can ask for help without guilt. Maria, have somebody help you do some of that baking.
Well, this year I have to tell you, everybody's going to work in my
There
house
you
this
go.
year. And I just have to add, I don't remember the person who was just speaking, but you
JD.
know, there's a financial value in your time and your effort and energy. Most of my family has passed away, right? Like my kids have no grandparents. And most of our family is also very far. So we tend to be very generous with gift giving. But I have to say, my favorite gift that I always received was my husband's grandmother, Frida Morowitz, made these fabulous rugula cookies, right? And every year she put them, she lived in New York with us, and then she moved to Florida. And since she moved to Florida, she used to put them in a metal tin. She would make them. It was the only thing she made. Make the rugula, put it in the metal tin, and mail it. And it was like the greatest surprise, right? Did it cost? I don't know what it cost her to make, but to me, it was worth $1 million. So when you find yourself in a situation where there is the potential for it to get very expensive, and you don't want to or can't or have other, you know, responsibilities and other things that you have to do with your money, consider doing something meaningful, something special, especially if you have young kids. Baking with the kids. My favorite time of year was making cookies with my nephew, who used to take the flour and just throw it in the air like snow. And I used to tell my brother, I can't cook, I can't bake in your house, because his kitchen was 3 times the size of mine. He's like, oh, come to my house. I said, no, 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 because your kitchen is perfect. Mine is less perfect. And when the baby takes the flour and throws it up in the air and giggles with those little baby belly laughs, like that's my favorite part. And again, what did that cost? Like, how much is a bag of flour? I used to say, for the holidays, for his birthday, for everything, just give him a bag of flour. Like what, $3.99 in the grocery store, $4.99? That will be the joy he will get from that bag of flour, will be any multi-$100 toy out there. So just something to consider. Sometimes the expense doesn't have to be a financial expense. It could be an expense of your time.
So that's one of the things on our checklist, Maria, is joy doesn't have to come from perfection. It comes from being present. And you can't see it because somehow the slide got cut off. The bottom one says, I can say no. So the last, the last thing on our checklist for giving yourself some grace is you can say no.
Also,
I want,
take the time to rest
yes,
and
rest
reset.
and reset. That's an important one.
Yeah.
We forget that. And if we're not rested and we don't reset, we're not going to be able to keep everybody else calm. And that's going to move us into our next category. I love those examples. They're small, realistic changes that we can all make, and they're big impacts. But let's shift our focus now to the young people. Our children and teens experience the holidays differently than we do, and their emotions and emotional needs sometimes get overlooked by this busy season. I want to start with Susan. Can you tell us what you're seeing and experiencing around your children and handling the holidays? What supports their emotional well-being during this time, and how can we help our own children?
Yeah, so I think with my kids, and it's something you learn over time watching them, is just understanding that, we put so much pressure on ourselves for the perfect holiday and the perfect Christmas and dressing them perfect, and they have to look perfect, and you have the matching outfits and everyone's on theme or whatever's going on, and then the pressure for their behavior. And they have to be the most polite, and they have to, did you say it's like, Halloween. Every mother is screaming, take one candy. Did you say thank you? Say trick or treat. Don't forget to say like every mother at every house on the sidewalk is yelling, and we had an experience where one of our children received a gift, and I was extremely grateful that this happened with my best friend and not with an in-law, for example. But my son got the present and he was unwrapping it, and in his mind, it was the shape and size of something that he was excited about. And when he opened it, it was not what he was expected. And he literally said, "Worst present ever." And my husband and I were mortified as we send him to his room, and we're like, what do we do? He's just like, sweetest kid ever, but he's like, worst present. He was expecting an Xbox game. He got the entire Harry Potter DVD series. So also breaks my heart because that was like the best present ever, in my opinion. But it gave us a moment to be like, oh, okay, so he's a kid and he said something. And we went upstairs and we talked to him about like what a gift is, and that somebody thought of him and they didn't have to give him a gift, but they did, and they thought that he would enjoy it, and this is why. So go downstairs and say thank you. You don't have to watch it, you don't have to like it, but just say thank you for thinking of me, and then moving on. And it became it is the story that will be told at his wedding day. Worst present ever. I'm pretty sure my best friend will say, tell the story. But it's remembering that they can get overwhelmed. We get overstimulated by all of the presents, and well, I'm not a grandmother, but I am sure there's grandmothers here, and people have experience with grandmothers, and they want to buy every gift to every child, and they want them to open every gift. And I also had to kind of manage the expectations of my in-laws and my parents and stuff, like knowing your child. He opened one present and he wanted to play with that present. So while everyone else is opening all 7 presents, my kid is literally under the table playing with his little pull string Woody toy from Toy Story. And he didn't get to the presents until everyone else was. I was like, but he's loving it. Like, he's sitting there, he's enjoying this present. He doesn't want to open the other presents yet. So it's going to be okay. Let him play with it and open it another time. We will get there. We will open it after dessert. Like, he's going to do it tonight. Give him his time to process his present, to process what he wants. And, giving them time, like, yeah, okay. Especially now with teens, yeah, okay, you can go sit on your phone now. Now's a good time to go sit on your phone. Like, you can go hide in the corner over there and put your headphones on for an hour. Now we're done with, like, kind of explaining to them, like, okay, so here's the schedule. This is family time. When we're doing presents, no phones, no headphones. We need you, like, present to this. You're done. Bye. See ya. You don't want to be here? Goodbye. Like, go do your thing. We'll call you when it's time for dinner. Like, allowing them to have that space to disconnect, to disengage and engage, so that they have time to reset, just like we need time to reset. And it kind of changes as they get older, obviously, how you handle it.
Thank you, Susan. Does anyone else want to share any other experiences with their kids and how they help support them?
I'm gonna echo. I'm
Oh,
gonna
sorry.
Go
Patrice.
right ahead,
I was
Patrice.
just gonna say really quick, you have to pick your battles with your
Mhm.
kids and your family. And if you, if your kid doesn't want to eat something, right? Um, okay, right? Do you want to fight that battle? No, I'll fight it with my family that they shouldn't have to, right? Or if they're done and they want to leave, like Susan said, that's okay. Let them go, right? And you choose the battles that you want to fight, and you don't want to fight that one. That's okay.
Oh yeah, Shauna just made me think of it. But they make dinner, and the family makes dinner, and it's great, and he sits through dinner, and he did not like what was made. Like 20, 30 minutes later, after we've cleaned up and everything, I was like, all right, come on, let's go find an open McDonald's. I'll go get you something to eat. Like, he sat through it, he was polite, he pushed the food around his plate, he didn't eat it, he didn't like the way that it was cooked. Cool. He wasn't rude in any way. He helped with everything. But then I was like, all right, let's go for a drive. And we went and tried to find a McDonald's that was open, or a 7-Eleven where he got some chips or something to make him not hungry.
Yeah,
Great.
I was gonna
Patrice, go
echo.
ahead.
I was gonna echo what Susan and Shauna said. The kids, especially teens, do need that extra space. As kids grow, when they're little, they act one way, and when they get to be in that teen time, they need to be able, as long as they're doing what they're supposed to do, and they're polite to everybody, and they're enjoying, they're sitting at the meal and whatnot. My kids, when the meal was done, if they wanted to go and hang out in their room or go into the den and play with whatever the toy was or the video game or whatever, that was certainly allowed. And now with grandkids, I went from a house to an apartment, and Thanksgiving I had my 3 grandchildren here who are extremely rambunctious, and I just let it roll. Sometimes you have to just, how we talk about being PTA flexible. Well, I was breathing and I was being PTA flexible because the kids were just having the best time running around. And we usually do that also we do it for Thanksgiving, and we do it for Christmas Eve with my grandkids. They come here, and it's unadulterated, ripping presents on Christmas Eve, and all kinds of jazz happens, and the action level is incredibly high. And I just relax because they're having the time of their lives, whether it's with the wrapping paper or the box the thing came in or the actual toy. It doesn't really matter. As long as they're having a good time. And I've learned as a mother-in-law to do this. Be very quiet. But you learn to just forgive, give yourself some grace, forgive that you may be feeling a little stressed. Let it go. Just let it go. It's much easier to breathe and to be flexible. I also did what Maria did with the whole 9 yards with I am that Martha Stewart woman with the china and the glassware and the whole deal. Now I am not so Martha Stewart. Even the meals change. Morgan is a resident at a hospital, and we're not getting together for the normal Hanukkah and Christmas stuff that we normally do. The dates are all shifting, and guess what? We're just going to roll with it. And I've decided that it's okay. Nothing stays the same, and change can be positive. And this is, as long as we're having family time at some point, that's the goal. So that's really what it boils down to. Just being flexible, giving myself grace, letting it go. And as long as we can all get in the room together at one point, we're good. We're golden.
Thank
And
you.
I'd like
Thanks so
to
much.
add, there's also the piece that you said about, being flexible. So when you have little kids and you're at a big family function and they're serving dessert, you've spent the whole day there, you've had 2 hours of appetizers, a 3-hour dinner, and they say, well, we're going to have coffee first and then dessert. And your child is done. Like, it is past their bedtime. It's okay for you to say, you know what? we're gonna skip dessert, and you whisper in your kid's ear, don't worry, honey, we're gonna go through a drive through a Carvel or Starbucks or whatever you can find. And the same for your, so this is at every level. Your teenagers, especially who start dating, they be grateful that they want to have the meal with you when they say, hey, can I go to my, friend's house for dessert? Or before the games that we're going to play, or before we open presents, or whatever the tradition is, we have to show some flexibility. And the same thing as the kids get older. When they get older and they start having partners and who have other families, we kind of have to share them, right? But don't put the stress, this is the stage that I'm at. Don't put that stress on your kid that we have to celebrate this holiday on this day. Yes, the calendar says that this holiday is on Valentine's Day is February 14th, right? But so what happens if you decide to celebrate on the 16th? Like what sun is not going to rise and what moon is not going to set? Like ultimately it doesn't matter, because you can create that special day, and it doesn't necessarily have to line up with the calendar. And I know the winter holidays are a big thing where you feel torn and you have to be in 5 places at once. Just don't say, you know what, it's more important for us to have special time with you, grandparents. Let's pick a day and make that our special day. And ultimately your kids are going to be they're going to enjoy themselves, and they're going to be much more enjoyable than when you try to run them. I did that one year. I tried to go to 4 different houses in one day with 3 littles. Yep.
To piggyback off of that, I think we need to prioritize, like, especially with the older kids, like Maria was saying, like, what do you really want them there for? Do you want them there for the dinner? So are you okay if they skip dessert and go to their friend's house because their friend is doing something and they haven't seen them because they've been away for the entire semester and haven't seen their best friend? Do you want them there for the gift exchange? So is it okay for them to go have dinner somewhere else for that evening? We do 2 Thanksgiving dinners, and my dinner's on Friday, and it's important to me, and I've been doing it for all of my son's life since before he was born. But his best friend invited him over to a party. So I was like, okay, look, I'm starting my dinner an hour earlier because I want you to have the food with us and then go. Like, we're starting earlier so that you can have dinner with us, and I want to know you're fed, and then you can go to your party, and we're going to hang out and drink and do whatever afterwards, but you can go. Like, working with him, because what was important was for him to sit with us at our table with my parents and be part of that tradition that's been since I was pregnant with him. But it didn't have to look the same, and he didn't have to stay for the whole time, even if it was my dinner. It's kind of acknowledging, like, what do I want him there for, and what am I like, and what is it okay for him to not be there for, and have his own memories and have his own experiences.
Thank you. Crystal, I saw you had your hand up. You want to share?
Well, I was going to say just having realistic expectations for the tween and teens, because I feel like they're in a funny phase where I'm old enough to want gifts, but I want specific gifts, right? They're not smaller, right? So sometimes they can be disappointed with the gifts that they get in general because they're in a strange place. So I think just still encourage them to write a list, and they might get some or they might not get any, but I think that we just need to validate realistic goals for them. Because people are telling me, oh, my kid wants a $200 sweatsuit. That's not realistic, right? But they're a teenager. If that's the one thing that they want, can 4 family members put $50 towards that one outfit? You know what I mean? Like, so even thinking about it like that, but I think the holidays have become very consumer heavy. And we have to also teach our children that they, how to afford these things. And it's a holiday and you get things all year round. It might be different. So like for Judine, she said the $100 thing. No, let one adult and one child exchange gifts. Like, let it be an adult that chooses a child and they get them one gift. It doesn't have to be that you have to buy a million gifts for everybody or for everyone's child. But I do think that we have to have realistic expectations, especially for the teens and tweens, because they're in a different mindset and they have too much access to TikTok, Etsy, and Instagram. So they're looking at what everyone else is wearing and what everyone else is wishing for. but they don't understand the value of money. They don't understand, you know, other things. And they're just in a strange place. They don't want to get toys, but they do want to get toys. So get them the toy if they want it, you know, like let them continue to be a kid, I guess is my point.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. So this list is a few of the checkoffs of things that we've discussed tonight on supporting our children, acknowledging their feelings, maintaining a routine whenever possible, watch for signs of the stress. In my house, I know when the kids are starting to get a little rambunctious, it's time to take a walkabout. Talk about expectations, just like Susan was saying, and of where you want them to be, what's more important to you for that, and can keep those communication lines open, which is difficult to do with teens, but you know that conversation in the car helps a lot. Empower them with coping skills, like what to do when you know Aunt Fran wants a kiss and they don't want a kiss, and you know help them navigate through that. Let them take breaks, protect their downtime, include them in the decision making, what's going to happen on the holidays, where we're going, what we expect out of you. Be realistic with those conversations about money. And as parents and caregivers, we need to model healthy coping skills. So if we're not taking care of ourselves and we're not coping through the stress of the holidays, how can we expect our kids to? So with that, we're gonna move on to something else that might be a little bit touchy, but we've talked about it a couple of times tonight. One of the major sources of our holiday stress is the financial pressures. And Crystal and JD, and you discussed that a little bit. Let's take a moment to talk a little bit openly and judgment-free. This is a judgment-free zone. Beth, I want to start with you. How do you approach the financial well-being during the holidays, and what strategies have helped you with your limits without guilt or being overwhelmed?
Right. I mentioned my mom that we had that conversation. And also I had mentioned earlier about what my husband's family does with that white elephant, which is so important for all of us because we ended up saving so much money, and we also end up, I think more of us do attend the gathering because there's not that pressure of having to get everybody all the gifts, So I think that there is, less stress for, to get the gifts. So it alleviated that financial stress for people. And so, everybody comes and they don't, they just want to, see everybody instead of really having that financial stress of bringing all of the gifts. And I think that that's really hard, because in a family, you have people from various degrees of financial wealth, So it's really not fair to put, that, as Crystal said, that $100 limit for our, white elephant, we do $30. So it's, it's $30 for one person for, just one gift. And that's all.
Thank you. Beth, I hope that you're able to get your mom to understand that the uh, holidays and being with those kids is the most important part. And I mean, even Patrice was talking about the grandkids being there and everything else. Those are the memories, and those are the experiences that these kids will last them a lifetime. Is being present, being with the adults, being there. And I think that's great that your kids get to go over there and have game night with her. And Patrice, I could picture your grandkids throwing the paper up in the air and just having fun. And those are the memories that you guys want to make. Does anybody else want to share any wellness tips on finances and how you've managed through them?
Can
I
I
would just,
share something?
go ahead.
Sorry. I'm sorry. So, my sister used to give the most fantastic gifts to my kids. And she had double the number of kids that I did. And I couldn't spend, I don't know, thousands of dollars on her kids. And I always felt really guilty. And one year my friend said, listen, you don't have to, right? Just because she gives your kids, a backyard trampoline, right? Doesn't mean that you have to reciprocate with the same cost times two. Get what you think those kids would like. And it was a real, like, it changed my mindset, right? So I would look for gifts that I thought they would like, not really paying attention to, oh, it's not equaling what she's giving, because I just couldn't do it, right? I couldn't. And so I let myself feel okay with not being able to give as big a gift as she gave, but her kids liked it just as much. And I know for myself, I like to shop throughout the entire year, and I love to get a sale. And just because someone says a white elephant has to be $100 doesn't mean you have to pay $100 to get that $100 gift, right? You can get it on sale, and it still can be $100, but you could have maybe spent 40, right? If you are a bargain hunter. And so that's maybe something to think about. But you can definitely buy all year round if you have a place to store it, and if you know who it's going for, you can get some great deals, especially December 26th. It's a good shopping day.
So Shawnee, you just like gone over our list here. You set realistic budgets. Beth, you discussed how you guys do the secret grab bag and you draw the names out. We focus on those shared experiences, and we've talked a little bit about that. And instead of gifts, would focus on the shared experiences instead of those gifts, and then talk openly about the financial boundaries. Sometimes you'll find that as a family member, if you take the plunge and bring that up first, all of a sudden you'll realize that there's a couple of other family members who feel the same way that you do. They can't afford it, or, things are a little different financially in their houses.
Pat, I'm just
One-
going to piggyback to
Go ahead.
say really quickly, like I love the idea of some of these ideas, but I would the PTA advocacy hat comes on, and we teach our advocates, like, if you want to come to address an issue, come with a solution. So just saying I can't afford doing these presents, come with a solution. Say I can't afford it, but what if we all just did, like, went to the ice skating rink, and that was our gift to each other, like. I'm tired of we got to the point where we were really tired of stuff, so we were like, what if we did charity instead? I'm still tired of stuff, so I went to my sister. I'm like, I don't want to exchange gifts. How about you and I just go do something together? Like, why don't we take a day and it's a sister day, and I'll buy tickets to Broadway and you pay for dinner? Like, come up with a solution. Like, not just saying I can't think of another present to buy, or I don't want to do stuff. Like, I think coming to the table with an idea to replace that tradition would help make that conversation a bit more comfortable, because otherwise people are like, well, you're putting someone on the spot to try to solve the problem that you're facing rather than coming up with a solution to it might make it a little bit more amenable and make people a little bit more excited to try something new. And if it doesn't work, you try something different. We did the Secret Santas with my mother-in-law's family for a couple of years, and then we're like, you know what, we just keep getting stuff, so now we're going to do charity. And then now we just don't exchange gifts as adults, and we just do grandparents calendars. Like I said, it evolves as things go on, and you try something for a few years and it's great, and then you get tired of that and you move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I agree. And I think experiences are really great. My sister and I have been doing experiences with each other for a very long time instead of exchanging a gift. My daughter has been pretty open and said, oh, I just really need to get scrubs, and I need this and I need that. And we'll go, okay, I got that. My sister will go, I got that. And It's good to kind of have a handle on that so it doesn't get out of control. With my daughter-in-law and my son, I get 3 Amazon lists, one for each grandkid. And I was told, please, no more than 2 things each kid. And everything's really reasonable. They're very aware of it. My daughter-in-law has a very big family. And so what I do is a lot of chocolate covered Oreos, my specialty. So I do that, and then I'll get something small, like a $5 something, a token that I think they'll like or use or need. Usually something serviceable for the extended family, and everybody's easy going and fine with it. So it doesn't have to be racking up the credit card bills and you're worrying about it in January. No, this should not be an issue at all. And like, it says, just be open about it.
Thank you for sharing. I love those ideas. The shared experiences are the greatest, and even giving to the needy. Susan, you hit it right on the head when you said, you're getting stuff. And in this day and age, we can all get our stuff whenever we want, and Amazon delivers it, within 3 hours. So sometimes just going out and like maybe going ice skating or going to, have hot cocoa or a movie or a play is the way to go. And I appreciate that. So I thank you all for sharing. I know this financial stress is incredibly common amongst all of us. And the host conversations is just, oh look, sorry.
Patrice, I think you, Pat, I
It's
think you're
my
frozen.
phone telling us we're almost out of time.
Okay.
So as we try to wrap this up, I want to return to the heart of what we've shared tonight. The holidays can be beautiful and meaningful, but also emotionally heavy. We talked about traditions, stresses, strategies, our children's needs, and the financial pressures. So the screen's not showing them, but I have 4 prompts, and we're not going to be able to go into details with them because we've gone over. But if you could offer one piece of encouragement to another parent, guardian, or caregiver who may be struggling, what would it be?
No is a complete sentence.
There you go. Thank you for that. What is one thing that you're giving yourself permission to let go of this season?
Stress.
Thank you for sharing that.
The pressure of buying people things that you don't have to do it.
That's wonderful. I like that. Maria Sotomayor shared with us. Well, Maria, where'd you go? It disappeared.
I had mentioned.
Oh, you're doing your best and it's enough. Thank you. What support do you need from your family, friends, or community to protect your well-being during this holiday season?
I think being realistic and not putting undue stress, as someone had said, on yourself. So again, not to put more pressure to do something that you don't believe that you'll be able to meet that goal. Just be realistic with what is important.
Right. And
Thank you.
and also like my word, which I've talked to Patricia about, is grace. I love just to, especially this time of year, give people grace, and hopefully people will give me grace. And I think that having grace, both ways is so important. And I think that, if people do that for each other, that, it really makes a difference.
Thank you. And the last one, what is the one tradition or new idea from tonight that you want to keep or add because it's going to bring you joy or peace?
use aluminum pans.
I like that. Be a willow and bend. And remember to breathe, people. So as we close, I want to thank each of you, and especially our task force members and Robin, for sharing your experiences, challenges, and coping strategies. The holidays are complex, and there is real strength in talking honestly about them. Our hope is that you leave with at least one idea, boundary, or mindset shift that brings more peace and connection into your home this season. Please remember, you deserve the same compassion that you give everyone else. Beth Grace. That's that Grace. Have a good night, everybody. Happy holidays. Be kind to yourself and remember to breathe.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you. This
you.
was wonderful. Thank you. I just want to I can't, when the person has done a perfect show and you have nothing else to say, you just say thank you. And thank you so much, Patricia, to you and your team. I love this idea. And I just love, and again, remember to breathe. That's it. Remember to breathe. It's not that serious. It really is not. We just have to, two things you said, give each other grace and just remember to breathe. Thank you. Everyone have a wonderful holiday. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Yes, happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays.
Happy holidays.